In this clip, we are going to cover the basic mechanics for hidden mode. The primary rules in this game are termed open mode because the player openly knows the step strength of each of his own units. In hidden mode, a player does not know the step strength of his own units. They remain hidden until the moment of contact. Hidden mode was originally called solitaire mode because it was designed to support solitaire play. However, playtesters had so much fun with it that they began to use it when playing face-to-face, so we changed the name. Hidden mode not only supports solitaire play, it also provides an entire second way to play the game against a live opponent, and one that is, frankly, more realistic. Why do I say that? The reality for any commander is that he can issue orders that describe exactly what needs to happen in a perfect world. But the world is not perfect. Orders get garbled, misunderstood, and lost. Units get lost. Fuel fails to show up. Bridges and overpasses are discovered to be impassable. Enemy action interferes. All sorts of things can happen that lead a unit to fail to fulfill its orders, meaning that only some or none of its elements are where they are supposed to be. This friction in battle is normal, indeed inevitable, and a commander in the real world has to cope with a high level of uncertainty and chaos. Hidden mode simulates this reality. The basics for hidden mode are quite simple. When a ground unit first deploys on the map or enters as a reinforcement, it is deployed without any step markers. In this state, it is termed unrevealed. When a ground unit would normally be revealed, the owning player makes a die roll on the revelation table to determine how many steps it contains. Those steps are then embodied in a step marker placed underneath the unit, and it is now considered to be revealed. The only exception is artillery units, which are considered to be revealed from the start and therefore always deploy with their step markers. Air and helicopters continue to function exactly as they do in open mode. Where do the steps in a formation go when they are not on the map? They go into something called a pool card. Each player has a pool card. When a formation deploys on the map or deploys as a reinforcement, the owning player places its full complement of steps on the pool card by placing a step marker set to that number in the step box for that formation. So, in this example, the first echelon of the 57th Guards Motor Rifle Division is entering this turn as a reinforcement. This would mean that the Warsaw Pact player will now place a 9-step marker in the steps box, also referred to as the pool, for his first 3 motor rifle regiments because they are entering this turn. He is also free to place any unit markers that he did not want to deploy on the map or enter as reinforcements into the counters box for that formation on the pool card. As steps in a formation are deployed to the map, the appropriate step marker on the pool card is decremented until none remain. So, for example, if a unit on the map belonging to the 174th Guards is revealed to contain 2 steps, then the pool for the 174th would be decremented by 2 steps. And this process will continue until there are no more steps to reveal, at which point the step marker is removed from the pool to indicate that all of its steps have been exhausted. In this example, the NATO player has deployed the West German 35th Panzer Grenadier Brigade at the start of a scenario. The NATO player also has a pool card. He has a counters box and a step box for each separate type of maneuver unit in each brigade. A unique type of step in a unique brigade is referred to as a brigade type. Each brigade type that the NATO player controls has its own pool on the step card and its own counters box. Thus, in this case, the NATO player starts the game by placing a step marker bearing the full complement of steps in each brigade type pool on the pool card for the 35th Panzer Grenadier Brigade. So he has 4 Leopard steps, and he has 6 Martyr steps. He has 2 M113 steps, and he has a single Jaguar step. So each of these brigade types is tracking its own step pool, and none of these steps begin the scenario on the map. He would also place any unused unit counters that he has not deployed on the map into the counters box. So in this case, he's deployed 1 Leopard 2 unit counter, leaving him 2 that remain on the pool card. He would similarly deploy the 3 Martyr units that he has not deployed on the map. Those also go into the pool card. He has got 1 M113 counter that he's not deployed on the map, and he's got 1 Jaguar counter that he's not deployed on the map. And so now his pool card is completely set up, and the remaining unit counters have been deployed on the map. As with the Warsaw Pact, when a NATO unit is revealed, the number of steps, the step marker, if you will, on the pool card is decremented, and those steps are transferred to a unit on the map. So, for example, if this unit becomes revealed and it turns out that there are 2 steps there, it would receive a 2-step marker, and 2 steps would be removed from the pool card. And so this marker would go down to 4. This brings us to stacking limits. The standard stacking limits of 9 maneuver unit steps for the Warsaw Pact and 4 maneuver unit steps in a hex for NATO still apply. However, Hidden Mode has a second set of stacking limits based on the number of unit counters that a player can stack in a hex. The Pact player is allowed to stack up to 3 maneuver unit counters in a hex. So basically, all of the unit counters in a regiment are allowed to stack in the same hex, along with any number of non-maneuver unit counters. So for instance, it would be entirely possible for the Soviet player to enter this unit from the off-map display, 1, 2, and 3, and all of these units could legitimately stack here. However, if the Warsaw Pact player chose to move a unit in violation of stacking restrictions into this hex, then 1 set of units that is illegally stacked would have to be masked, and likely it would be this unit, and it would be moved to the bottom of the stack. The NATO player is limited to just 2 maneuver unit counters in the same hex, but like the Warsaw Pact player, he can stack any number of non-maneuver units in the hex. So for instance, this would be a completely legal move, but it would not be if this unit were to move in here. At this point, 1 of these 3 units would have to be masked because it's violating the stacking limit of 2 maneuver unit counters. And that's how stacking works in Hidden Mode. I should add one subtlety. In Open Mode, you can always combine units of the same type in the same hex. That is not true in Hidden Mode. Unrevealed units cannot be combined with each other or with a revealed unit. The only units that can be combined are revealed units. So if this second Martyr unit here were to be revealed, then the NATO player could potentially combine the 2 Martyr units into a single Martyr unit. But whilst revealed and unrevealed units are free to stack together, only revealed units can combine. Let's fast forward a bit and assume that the 2 formations are now beginning to engage. During the activation cycle for each formation, there are 2 segments that are unique to playing in Hidden Mode. The first is the redeployment segment, which comes right after the activation segment, and the second is the deliberate defense segment, which now becomes the last segment in an activation cycle. These segments are only played when the players are in Hidden Mode. During the redeployment segment, a player can take any unit counters that are on his pool card and move them back to the map. So, for example, if we take a look at the Warsaw Pact pool card, the Warsaw Pact player determines that he has one unit counter from the 170th Guards and 2 unit counters from the 174th Guards that are on his pool card and can be redeployed to the map. The rules for this redeployment are that a unit coming off the pool card can be placed on any identical unit counter that is already on the map. So in this case, the Warsaw Pact player chooses to place this unit that he's just pulled off of his card here. Now, in addition to appearing on an identical unit counter, a Warsaw Pact unit is also allowed to appear on a friendly superior headquarters if a player so chooses. But in this example, the Warsaw Pact player again chooses to place these 2 units he just pulled off the pool card on top of the one identical unit that was already on the map. There is one critical prohibition to redeploying unit counters, which is that a player can never redeploy a unit counter from the pool card to the map by placing it on top of an identical unit counter if it is adjacent to an enemy unit. Redeployed unit counters must be placed behind the front lines. That completes his redeployment segment. The Warsaw Pact player now advances to his reconnaissance segment. If he makes a successful reconnaissance on an enemy-occupied hex whilst playing in hidden mode, the opposing player is going to have to reveal those units. So, for the sake of argument, let's assume that the Warsaw Pact player makes a successful reconnaissance attempt against this hex. This forces the NATO player to reveal the 2 units. To do this, he is going to go to the revelation table and make 1 die roll for each unit to determine what it contains. So, he makes a die roll of 3 for his first unit, the Leopard 1 unit. He correlates that with the column for a NATO unit and determines that at a die roll of 3 with no die roll modifiers applying, he receives 1 step. This means that the NATO player decrements the pool for his Leopard 1 units here by 1, and he then deploys a 1 strength step marker underneath his Leopard 1. He must now make a die roll for his Martyr unit, so he returns to the revelation table and he rolls a 1. On the NATO unit column, that means that the unit is a dummy, and this result requires him to remove the unit from the map and return it to his pool card. Note that no steps change. This is simply the movement of a dummy unit counter from the map back to the pool card.